In this lesson, we're going to talk about piping and how knowledge about this concept will help you in your work with the Linux operating system. And this topic is included along with some others in our module called Working with Text. So pipes are a mechanism that will let you send output from one command to use as the input to another. We've already used pipes in some of our work in class, or you followed instructions in assignments that happen to use the pipe. But now is the time to learn a little bit more about how they work and what you can do with them. So as the name suggests, it is like a physical pipe that redirects either your standard output or your standard error that is created by one process, and then use all of that created information as the input to a subsequent command or process. The syntax is very straightforward. You simply use the pipe character, which is on your keyboard to the shift key on the / key. And the pipe character simply separates a command moving from the left to the right, where we will pipe the output from command -1 through the pipe into command -2, and this can go on and on and on, almost an immeasurable amount of time. Usually 3 or 4 pipe sequences is what we see. So to drive the concept home, it's always best to look at an example. And I like to use examples that you may encounter in a real world situation. So let's consider this problem. To find out how many user accounts on your Linux system are using the bash shell, let's consider whether the use of pipes might be helpful in answering that question. And you already know the answer. It's probably going to be yes. So to answer a question like this, or really any problem that you have in information technology, what do? You sit down and think, what are the little micro steps that I have to walk through in order to solve this problem? So in this case, to find out how many user accounts on our system employ the bash shell, first we need to ask ourselves the question, how do we know about user accounts on Linux? And we should recall that all the user accounts are in the etc/password file. So perhaps we would want to use the command cat to output all of the lines in that file. After that, we would want to figure out which of those lines employ or have a record of the bash shell. So we can recall if we did a man space 5 space PASSWD, we could look at the manual page for the password file and recollect that the last field in that file is a placeholder for the shell of that account. So we can now use the grep tool to look for the bash shell. The pipe allows us to take the output of the cat command that displayed to our screen the entire contents of /etc/PASSWD, and now look through that, scan using the grep tool for the character string /bin/bash. So now we have filtered down that output to only those lines referencing the bash shell. We're getting closer. How now can we count those lines? And the WC command, word count, has a flag -L, which will help us out. Let's take a look on our Linux system and actually walk through. So let's look at the etc password file. We see lots and lots of information here. We'll now pipe that to the grep command with the information looking for the bash shell. In fact, I'm going to clear the screen and issue that again. Now we could, quote, eyeball that, and because it's a short list, just count, but say perhaps that it's not a short list. We can now take the output of that stream thus far and pipe it to WC space -L, and we get our answer of 2. There's also a command NL, which line numbers or prepends each line of its input with a line number, and that may also be useful for us. So I hope that looking at these examples and discussing what the pipe can do for you will help you going forward. You see that it's just the input of the command on the left, the output of the command on the left becomes the input to the command to its immediate right. Piping is not exclusive to Linux. It is also a feature of the Windows PowerShell language. So no matter where you are in IT, it's good to have the concept understood and be competent with it. Thanks for listening.